Now you've got your first program under your belt, let's expand on the program a little bit and add in a few more ABAP statements. So let's step back to our coding screen, and what we're going to do now is access some of the data records that we created when we built our first table in the ABAP dictionary. To do this, the first thing we have to do is include the table statement into our program, and we'll place the table statement just below the report statement. So I'll create a few blank lines and I'll key in tables. Now, following tables, we key in the actual table name that we created. Now, if memory serves me right, I think it was Z underscore employee list 01. And then remember, we need a period at the end of the statement. Now, one little thing. Remember I mentioned about Pretty Printer? I like my programs to look a certain way, and I'm always formatting them as I'm going along. So what I'm going to do here is just click Pretty Printer, and we can see what's happened is the table statement, the right statement, they've been converted to uppercase, and then the actual table and program name, they were converted to lowercase. This is just my own personal preference, and if you want to play around with how the programs look for yourself, you'll be able to do that through the Utilities menu, go to Settings, and then from the ABAP Editor, go to Pretty Printer, and these are the settings that I have. So automatically indent, convert upper stroke lowercase, and I want to convert my keywords to uppercase. So let's quickly review what the table statement does. When the program is executed, this table statement will create a table structure in memory based on the structure that we defined in the ABAP dictionary for our Z employee list 01 table. The table structure will contain all the fields that we created, and this will allow us to read records from the table and store them in this temporary structure for our program to use. So to get these records into our table structure, we're going to use the select statement. So we'll key in select asterisk from. Now you'll see that I do get lazy, so I like to do copy and paste quite a lot. And that's our simple select statement. And what we're saying is select everything with the asterisk from our table. Because the select statement is a loop, we need to tell our program where the end of the loop is. And we do that by keying in end select. So our loop starts with the select and ends with end select. So if this statement is now going to read every row of the table into our table structure, we need to do something with it. So what we're going to do here is just use the right command that we have used before. So I'll just cut that and paste it in. But instead of saying write hello SAP world, we are going to say write a whole row at once to the output window. So I'll click Pretty Printer just to tidy up the code. Now we have our select loop. It's going to write out every row of our table and display it to us in the output window. So let's check our code. We can see we have our first syntax error. And if you notice, the cursor has changed position and it's gone to the table statement at the start of the actual table that we identified. And it's telling us the dictionary structure or table is either not active or does not exist. So it's likely I've just got this name wrong. So all we need to do I'll open up another session, go to SE11, and we can see we actually called our table Z employees. So I'm just going to copy this name to the clipboard, close that window, get rid of the syntax error, and paste the proper table name right there. Pretty printer again, just to format it. Now because we changed the table name up here, we also need to replace any other occurrence that we have. So it needs to be there and there. Pretty printer again. Good. We'll save our program. Check the code. Now everything is fine. The tables are recognized and we can test our program. So click the test button or just press the F8 key. And as if by magic, our output window shows every row of our table. If you remember, we had the employee number as the first field, then the surname, then the forename, the title, and then date of birth. So if we keep the output window in mind when we go back to our code and just have a look at the select statement again, we can see that a loop happened and every row of data was written to the output window. Now let's dig a little deeper and have a look at the output window again. We can see here that the system automatically put each line from the table on a new row. The write statement that we had in our program didn't know that each new row had to be output on a new line, but this was forced because of some default settings held within our system about our own individual screen settings. Now if we try to print this report, it could well be that there are too many columns or too many characters to actually fit on a standard piece of A4. This will be determined by the width of the paper specified in the printer settings. So don't count on your output being in the right format for the reports you create. What I suggest is you use an addition to the report statement where you specify the width of each line. So if we go back to our program, if you click on the report statement and press the F1 key, you will see the line size column addition that we can add. And you can see right here, it says if the line size specification is missing, the line length corresponds to the current screen width. You can check the screen width by referencing this built-in system field, and it tells us the maximum width of the list is 1023 characters. So what we're going to do in this example is specify a line size. I'll just use a bit of copy and paste. And we'll add the addition to our report statement. We need to take out the lesson sign. And in this example, let's limit the line size just to 40 characters and see what effect that has on the output. So we'll save our code, check it for syntax errors, activate it, and then test it. And there you can see the line has been broken at 40 characters in length. which I guess is right here. It didn't do a line wrap or anything like that, it just truncated the whole line. So keep in mind, if you're outputting your list to paper, normal A4 I think is 132 characters as it's specified in the help section, and if you do landscape it's even bigger, but anything greater will likely be truncated automatically. So if we did 132, and this time I'll just activate it, which automatically does the check, and I'll test. Now we're back to seeing the full output, and we can see 132 characters actually goes right up to this level here. Let's now enhance our program a little bit more by adding some specific formatting to the write statement. So what we're going to do is insert a line break at the start of every row that we output within our select statement. So first of all, I'm just going to copy this code, paste it in again. Let's just separate our table statement from our code. And we'll work with this select statement right here. So all we need to do is where we got our write statement, include the /, and the / is what will trigger a new line for the write command. So let's save the code and execute it. And you can see the first select loop output the first 5 rows, the second select loop output the next 5. And look, it's identical. Why do we think it's identical? Well, it's all down to this report statement again. Because we specified a line size of 132, the system automatically wrapped the first select loop at 132 characters. So every row that was output, once it got to 132, it then caused a brand new line to be written. If we increase this, let's say 532, we should see the effect of this write statement wrapping along just a couple of rows. So let's test it out. And here we go. The first row finishes here, but then because we said we want the output to be 532 characters long, the next row was output immediately after the first one. And if we scroll along, we can see it then output the next one as well, all the way until it got to 532 characters, before it then forced another line break. So I think here it was actually the first 4 records were output on the first row, then the 5th was output on the second one. Then came our second select loop, and because we forced a line break before every row was output, they all appear correctly under one another in our report. So let's step back. I'll put this back to 132. And what we will do is add another little bit of formatting just so that we can see the separation between the different select loops. So what I'm going to do here is type uline. And uline simply means underline. If I press the F1 key, we'll see an explanation. Writes a continuous underline in a new line. So that will help separate the different select statement outputs that we have on our screen. It'll be a little easier on the eye. So if we execute this, there we go. We can see this nice underline showing us our second select loop. The next thing we'll do is just change this select statement a little bit. So we'll copy it again. I'll create a new underline. I will remove the slash before the new row is output and adding a write statement with a slash on its own, and that will mean a new line will be output at the end of the previous line. So we'll check it. I'll do a pretty printer. I always like it to look nice. Then we'll test our code and we can see a new line has been written after a row has been output. So let's go back and just change things up just one more time. This time we'll go back to the select statement with the slash Z employees like so, but we're going to include one more statement, which is skip. And skip means skip a line. And you can have an addition with the skip statement to allow you to skip multiple lines. So in this case we'll say skip 2 lines. Press the F1 key on skip just to see the help on it. There you can see skip, skip however many lines you want, or you can skip to a specific line number. So let's close the help, click Pretty Printer and execute our code. Here we go. So we're using the same select statement that we had here, the second one. Copied it down here, but we included the skip 2 lines right there. Now let's change things up just a little bit more. And this time, instead of outputting the whole row of the table, we will output individual fields. So let's create another select statement. In fact, you know what I'm going to do right now? Because we're duplicating lots of lines and it's starting to look complicated, let's add some comments. And then this one we're going to work on. Will be another basic select statement, but this time outputting individual fields. So how do we do this? Well, all we need to do is specify the individual field. So here we have the table name, and when you want to specify an individual field, you use a dash and then the actual field name. So we have surname, forename, title, date of birth, and I think the first field was employee number. So let's just choose surname. Add in forename. And then we'll do date of birth. Now, I'm not sure if I've got these field names exactly correct, so I'll just use forward navigation and check. Surname, forename, and date of birth. A stroke of luck. So now we'll do a syntax check. Everything is good. Activate our program and then test. So as we scroll down, here we go. So our first record is Brown Stephen with this date of birth, and we can see it's outputted on an individual line, Brown Stephen date of birth. Then the second record, third, fourth, and then fifth. So that's writing individual lines. Now let's tidy this up, because maybe we just want 3 fields on one line. So we'll take out this line break in front of the second and third field. Test it out. There we go. Just the 3 fields we want, all on their own individual line. One last thing I'll do, I'll just insert another underline just to keep it tidy. There we